Good morning and welcome back. I'm here for a second edition of Michelle's Monday Money Minutes and so happy to have everybody here with me for this gorgeous show. I have invited my dear friend Syble Solomon, who is a wonderful psychologist, and specifically she focuses on teaching people about money, my favorite thing. Welcome to the show, Syble. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great, thank you. I'm in Montana. It's a beautiful day, and I hope it is in New Jersey.
It's awesome. The sun is shining, and driving here this morning, actually in the dark, the moon was brilliant. I don't know if you saw that moon, but it's been so bright and absolutely amazing, and just shining light into my life from dark to the light. It was wonderful.
It was the same moon here.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, oh, absolutely. Yes, it was absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
So I brought you on today as my guest because I have used the good credit score game in my practice for the last year since I met you, and it's been so influential and so helpful to my practice. And I also use the money habitude cards. I wonder if you could tell our listeners about your games and how they work.
Um, one of the things that's really tough is that money is the hardest topic to talk about. Most of us were raised where we didn't talk about money. Lots of times we were in a house where money was a taboo topic, or when they did talk about it, you would feel the tension or the stress about it. And we didn't have really good models for talking about money, so we're not comfortable with it. And my idea was that it's so important for us to talk about money but it needs to be fun, it needs to be interesting, it needs to be non-threatening. And playing a game of solitaire, most people play cards, they enjoy it, it's kind of a fun thing. It takes away that stress. And that was one of the reasons that I do everything financial with games, is because we want people to relax and enjoy themselves. We don't want money to be a difficult topic. We want to make it easy. We want to make it fun.
So tell me about how you make it fun.
Okay. Well, first of all, just using a game format, most of us, because we're used to playing games, when we're given cards, we don't stop and think about anything other than it's a nice social interaction, and we expect to relax and to enjoy it. So when I was developing Money Habitudes, let me tell you a little bit about how it got started.
Please.
I was talking to a woman who worked for me, and I was telling her this story where a bankruptcy educator told me that a couple was declaring bankruptcy and they were still going to have to pay some of their debts off. And she said to the husband, "You may need to sell your bass fishing boat and use that money to pay some of your debts." And he looked at her and he looked at his wife and he said, "She goes before that boat goes." It's like, whoa, okay. So I talked to this woman who worked with me, and I was telling her this story, and she didn't say anything. She just kind of looked at me, and a couple of hours later, she came into my office, and she said, "My husband's a bass fisherman." I said, "Yeah, I know. That's why I told you the story." And she said, "I am $15,000 in debt on credit cards, and he doesn't know about it. And if he finds out, he's probably going to divorce me." And I looked at her because she's one of the most down to earth, not frivolous kind of people, very careful with her money. And I was shocked that she'd be $15,000 in debt. So what happened was her husband had lost his job because the company closed. She decided that he wanted to do his own business. So I don't know, when you start a business, things don't usually kick in right away. It takes a while. Well, she didn't want him to realize how bad things were. So she started putting all their food and their children's clothing and school things on the credit card. And on top of that, she didn't want her parents or his parents to know that things weren't working out well, because there's an image involved there. You want your family to think everything's okay. So she continued giving them gifts at the same level. And they were very active in their church and they tithed. And she didn't want their pastor or the other people to know. So they continued tithing at the same rate. She just didn't have any money, right? So I think frequently our thoughts are, when people don't have money, when they go into debt, when they're struggling, if they would just manage their money better, they would be okay. But this woman was managing her money, fine. It was that she wanted to keep up a certain image, not in a bad way, in a good way, and she was afraid to talk about money. And that was the impetus for me to say, we need to find a way to talk about money that makes it easy. Games make it easy. And I started doing my research, and I said, we're going to make it into a game. And that's what really helps people. When you say, let's sit down and have a talk about our budget, or let's sit down and talk about our debt, people are like, I don't want to do that. But when you say, let's just play this little card game, it leads into those conversations that make it really, really easy to talk about money.
So I'm so impressed that she did tell you that she was $15,000 in debt, and I do know that it is so difficult for people to actually own the numbers and face those amounts that they owe, and how are they going to deal with that, and how are they going to disclose to their families. So talk to me about how the cards work if I ran into that woman and she told me exactly the situation that you just presented.
Okay, so basically, I'm going to do a little show and tell here. Basically, this is the deck of the cards, right? It just looks like a card box. There's nothing strange about it. And you just open up the box of cards, and on the top, you see there's some cards. You're going to take all of those away. And then you're going to have a lot of cards that have pictures on them. And you're just going to read the card. And let me give you an example of a couple of cards. So if somebody were to just sit down with their spouse or their partner, or even family members when there's issues, and just go through the cards, then maybe we can go through a few of them in a couple of minutes and talk about what's on the cards and how they may spark a conversation that leads to more in-depth understanding, as opposed to just talking about how much money we owe or what our issues are.
I love that. I definitely want to hear you tell us about the cards, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers would like to hear and see that as well. We have to go out for a commercial break right now, but I know you're going to stand by, and I hope our viewers will too. We'll be right back to hear more from Syble. Thanks so much.
10 and 25%, and sometimes more. We can help, and sometimes more. We can help your business succeed by providing.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to give a sub some sizzle, this is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
My dream job is to run and manage my own spa one day.
To be the general manager for the Jumeirah Hotel in Abu Dhabi, Dubai.
I feel that Mercier's has prepared me very well for my future in the hospitality industry.
The kitchen is incredible.
You are planning the meal, doing all the costing and the recipes. You're in charge of everything going on in the kitchen.
They really do get you prepared, and they want to make sure that you have a job after college.
When it comes to injuries,
they're not all created equal.
That's why at Performance Spine and Sports Medicine,
our team of doctors will coordinate and customize your care
to provide the best treatment options using the area's most advanced medical technology.
All with one goal in mind.
To get you back in the game.
We call life.
Pain-free.
Drug-free.
Surgery-free. That's what we do here at Performance Spine and Sports Medicine.
Get better faster.
Stay better longer.
Saving your business money is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Tanker Consulting Services, a payment solutions expert, will show you how with a free, detailed, written analysis illustrating your cost savings. We usually uncover savings between 10 and 25%, and sometimes more. We can help your business succeed by providing reliable and secure merchant payment solutions such as merchant services programs, point-of-sale systems, and ATM machines. TCS, one of the leaders in regional credit card processing consulting, offers electronic payments to merchants locally and nationwide through our preferred vendor programs. We work to keep business costs down with a comprehensive suite of quality products, services, and customized credit card processing programs exclusively tailored for your company. TCS is convenient, reliable, and innovative, with customer service available 24/7, 365 days a year. Our in-depth industry knowledge, partnership strategy, and innovative processing solutions allow for a specialized approach to providing merchant bank processing with 100% full fee disclosure. TCS is one-stop shopping for all your merchant services solutions. Our clients save money 100% of the time. Trust Tanker Consulting Services, the knowledgeable, professional, and friendly provider of secure payment services. We set the standard by which others are measured. Call now for a free written analysis. 609-922-0201.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
Good morning and welcome back to Morning Coffee. And today we're having our segment, Michelle's Monday Money Minutes. And I'm here with my guest, Syble Solomon, who was just telling us about her Habitudes cards, which is a card game that people can use to talk about money and open up the dialogue of something that is generally hidden. That's what you have so far told us, Syble, right?
Yes.
And now you're going to read us some of the cards and tell us some of the opening opportunities?
Okay, so I wanted to share a couple of the cards that people could look at them very differently, and the idea behind the cards is to really understand what motivates us to do what we do. A lot of times when we're talking about money, we think that we're actually talking about money, but we're very rarely talking about money. We're talking about our values, we're talking about our priorities, and our emotional connections to things, what money means to us. So for example, this says, one of the cards says, I think that when people have a lot of money, it corrupts them. Okay? And when you think about that, one of the things is, let's say that you're in business, or that you have a job and you're earning more money. If you believe, if you've heard stories from your parents and you have these messages that says, oh, you can't trust people who have a lot of money, then what may happen is you have a set point, and whatever seems to be a lot of money to you, as soon as you get close to that, you don't want to be the kind of person who people would think aren't honest or corrupt. So what you'll do is subconsciously, you will start getting rid of your money. You'll make a bad deal. You'll blow money on something that you normally wouldn't do it on. So you want to think about what's your message about having a lot of money. Is that a good thing? Is that a difficult thing? And in a conversation between two people, you might find some really interesting insights about the way the other person thinks. Here's another one. When I need money, I just ask my friends or family to help me. And some of you may be going, no, I'd never ask my friends or family. I'm too responsible for that. Well, if you're always asking your friends and family to help you out, then you probably want to stop and take a look at the way that you manage your money or whatever is going on in your life. On the other hand, sometimes people are so against asking for help that they may have some wonderful opportunities, or maybe it would be going back to school, or maybe it would be being able to buy a house, where asking for a little bit of help would actually be a good thing. And again, having that conversation about why I would ask for help or why I would ask for help, it could be really enlightening within a relationship. So one of the things that happens actually on a pretty regular basis is that people will come up to me or they'll email me or they'll call me and they'll say, I did those money habitudes cards and it changed my life. Well, I don't guarantee that everybody that does the cards that it's going to change your life or it's going to change your relationships, but it's really been a huge surprise to me how, because people can relax and they're focused on the cards, not on, something that's hard, they really do feel like it's changed your life. And what I'd like to do is share a couple of stories. Would that be okay?
I'd love that. I'd love that. I love everything you're saying, Syble. You're so awesome. And even when you talk about your friend who inspired you to start this, if she had had that card and maybe had the opportunity to talk about, would it be better to ask somebody to borrow money, or am I doing the right thing charging my credit card at maybe 28% interest a month? That might have given her the incentive and the courage to talk about it with people who love her and wouldn't want to see her suffering.
I think you're right. She was a true inspiration for me.
So great. So tell us the story. I'm sure our viewers and listeners would love to hear how this can play out in reality.
Okay, so one morning I was at I was going to be speaking at a conference, and they asked if I would come early and have breakfast with about 18 people who were leaders in the community. They were directors or program directors for different agencies in that county. And I said, sure. And when the breakfast started, the woman who was leading it said, could you all introduce yourself to Syble and say something? So of the 18, maybe a third of them said, oh, we use money habitudes. We love them. We just came because we wanted to meet Syble. And I thought, oh, that's neat. And then we get to this woman sitting on the corner, and she was around 60, an African-American woman who was the director of a nonprofit. And she spoke for the next 5 or 10 minutes, and she had us all on the verge of tears. She started out by saying, when I did the Money Habitudes cards the first time with my staff, it changed my life. And there's 6 different patterns of habits and attitudes that show up in the most commonly in the research. And one of them is a carefree kind of person. The person who avoids talking about money, doesn't really like to sit down and set out a budget, wants other people to take care of things. And that's what came up with her. So I don't know what card inspired her, but she said she'd never understood why she was like that. And the cards made her make that connection. And after that, she was able to take a course. She said it changed the way she felt about herself. It changed her money, and it helped change her relationship with her husband, because he was tired of taking all the responsibility.
That is so amazing. I love that story, and I have goosebumps because I can totally relate, and I see the light bulb going off. How great. We have to go out for another commercial message, but I hope you'll stick around with us and our viewers as well, and we'll just come back and have a few more wonderful minutes with Syble before we have to close out this morning's show. Stay tuned.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to give a sub some sizzle, this is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
My dream job is to run and manage my own spa one day.
To be the general manager for the Jumeirah Hotel in Abu Dhabi, Dubai.
I feel that Merciers has prepared me very well for my future in the hospitality industry.
The kitchen is incredible.
You are planning the meal, doing all the costing and the recipes. You're in charge of everything going on in the kitchen.
They really do get you prepared, and they want to make sure that you have a job after college.
When it comes to injuries,
They're not all created equal.
that's why at Performance Spine and Sports Medicine,
Our team of doctors will coordinate and customize your care.
to provide the best treatment options using the area's most advanced medical technology,
All with one goal in mind.
to get you back in the game,
We call life
pain-free,
drug-free.
surgery-free. That's what we do here at Performance Spine and Sports Medicine.
Get better faster.
Stay better longer.
Saving your business money is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Tanker Consulting Services, a payment solutions expert, will show you how with a free, detailed, written analysis illustrating your cost savings. We usually uncover savings between 10 and 25%, and sometimes more. We can help your business succeed by providing reliable and secure merchant payment solutions such as merchant services programs, point-of-sale systems, and ATM machines. TCS, one of the leaders in regional credit card processing consulting, offers electronic payments to merchants locally and nationwide through our preferred vendor programs. We work to keep business costs down with a comprehensive suite of quality products, services, and customized credit card processing programs exclusively tailored for your company. TCS is convenient, reliable, and innovative, with customer service available 24/7, 365 days a year. Our in-depth industry knowledge, partnership strategy, and innovative processing solutions allow for a specialized approach to providing merchant bank processing with 100% full fee disclosure. TCS is one-stop shopping for all your merchant services solutions. Our clients save money 100% of the time. Trust Tanker Consulting Services, the knowledgeable, professional, and friendly provider of secure payment services. We set the standard by which others are measured. Call now for a free written analysis. 609-922-0201.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
And we're back. I'm Michelle Gershfeld, and you're here with us on today's episode of Michelle's Monday Morning Money Minutes. And I'm here with my friend Syble Solomon, who is the creator of the Habitudes cards. And we've been talking this morning so far about how these cards really can help people start to open up the dialogue and begin to realize what their money situation is and how their attitudes and habits, thus habitudes, right, Syble, go along with their decision-making process and what they do in this world with their money. So, Syble, it sounds like something that people might really get into. Would it be a good idea to break out the cards for the holidays?
You know, that's a great idea. One of the things that surprised me was I was having people come up to me at conferences and telling me, or calling me on the phone and telling me that they needed to order like a half a dozen cards or a dozen cards, and it's like, really, what are you going to use them for? They said, well, the holidays are coming up, and this happened to be right before Thanksgiving, which is now, and they said, you know, in our family, we frequently play a game, or someone else would say in our family, we never know what to talk about, and they said, we're going to take these cards and we're going to talk about them. We're at our family gathering. And in fact, I've heard from people since that that's what they do. They bring them and they use them at Thanksgiving, or they use them at the holidays when their families are together to start a conversation about money. And often, particularly when there's an older person in the family, you have 50% of the people that the older adult is saying, I really want to sit down and talk to you about my will and about money kinds of financial types of things, and the kids are going, no, you're fine, we don't want to talk about that. And 50% of the time the kids are saying they want to talk about it, and the parents are like, I don't share any information about money with you. So the cards have been used a lot in family gatherings to start the conversation. Then we've had other people who, there was an article in the Washington Post one time about the cards, and as a result of that, we had people buying the cards, particularly for their teenage children. There is a deck for adults and a deck for teens. And then we also had people that were buying them for couples who were getting engaged over the holidays and planning for weddings. And a lot of times when people plan their weddings, they forget to plan their life. And they'll spend so much money on the wedding that they don't stop to think about how that may be putting them or their parents in debt, and really what the true meaning is for them of why they're doing that. So the cards on the holidays have been really interesting in those respects. The other thing is there's like one card that says, I will pay more for brand name that others will recognize. When you go shopping, I want you to think about why you're buying what you buy for a person. We had one couple that did the cards, and they came out, both of them had more status cards than anything else. And the guy goes, status? I'm just a regular guy. Look at me. I don't do anything, don't have a fancy house, a fancy car. Well, it turns out that they had guilt because they lived far away from their families. So they would spend a lot more money to make up for that. And they would buy $50 gift certificates for the preschool teachers and the elementary school teachers. That would really put them in debt. And then finally, what the husband said was, it's not that I really care about giving all that much. I don't want anybody to think I'm cheap. And I happened to run into that couple, or actually to the wife, a number of months later, and she said, this was in the summer that we had done the cards, and she said, after that, when the holidays came up this year, we didn't have any debt. We approached it very differently, and normally we have thousands of dollars of debt after the holidays. This year, we had none. And it all came from that conversation of what motivated them to give the way that they give and to think differently.
Which makes me really want to say, listen, you guys got to buy these cards and have this conversation at Thanksgiving so you don't spend all the money that you don't have for Christmas presents, and everybody can be on board with what our attitudes and habits are going to be to really feel good when it comes to Christmas. Not just about giving, but about knowing that they haven't given away what they don't have. So,
right.
so tell us how ridiculously affordable these cards are.
So a deck of cards is $14.95. If you buy 10 decks, it's $12.50. If you go to Money Habitudes, that's like habits and attitudes, HABITUDES, Money Habitudes. You can just buy them online with a credit card, and you'll have them within a few days. We send them priority mail, and we just zip them right out to you.
I think that's awesome. I love the idea of the teenage cards also. So many times I meet with young people who think that their parents' credit card means that there's a money tree in their house, or they think that the ATM machine is always full with money and they can access it. And I think these cards give a great opportunity for parents and teens to have a dialogue that they may not have been comfortable having before because, as you say, the parents may not want to talk to their kid about money. But if you don't learn it at home, you're not learning it. So I'm all for these cards, Syble. I love it. And when you talk about the engaged people and the young, soon-to-be newlyweds, they have to be looking at what their attitudes are and to see if they are actually on the same page before they make that commitment for life. It's a scary thing to join your finances with somebody, and when you're thinking only about the beautiful babies that I'm sure you're going to make, you also need to think about what those babies and that family life together is going to cost, and make sure that you are on the same page with your habits and your attitudes and your goals for a future life together.
It's pretty amazing. A real quick story is one parent did them with their teenage daughter, and a few weeks later the daughter came home, said she got a job, she was paying for all her own car expenses, and the mother went like, "Where'd that come from?" And she said, before I played those cards, I never really thought about taking responsibility for money. And the mom was shocked, and it was a very happy story with a good ending.
Syble, I just love you to death. This is the greatest gift that you could give people. I thank you so much for coming on my show. I recommend to everybody to get these cards. It's a whole lot cheaper to deal with these issues before you become in debt, and even after you become in debt, to figure out how you can get out of it. Thank you so much for joining us today on Michelle's Monday Money Minutes. I'm Michelle Gershfeld, and we're out.
Thank you.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to give a sub some sizzle, this is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be.